this big escalation that is now taking place in the Middle East, let's tell you as far as India's stand is concerned on the conflict. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, who has expressed his concern on the wider conflict between Israel and Iran, speaking at a conversation at the Carnegie Endowment in US. Jaishankar has called Hamas's attack on Israel as a terror attack, and he has also underlined that any response by any country must be taken into account international humanitarian law and must be careful of when it comes to the implications for civilian population as well. Let's listen into the External Affairs Minister. Of course, not just Hamas, but when it comes to the counter and the frontal attack that now Israel seems to be also facing with Hezbollah and also the Houthis.
If one looks at the current situation, I think it would be right to start off with October 7th. We regard October 7th as a terrorist attack. We understand that Israel had a need to respond. But we also believe that any response by any country has to take into account international humanitarian law, that it must be careful about any damage or any implications for civilian populations, and that given what has happened in Gaza, it is important to have some kind of international humanitarian effort out there.
Well, Rishabh, the stand of India, which has been clear right from the start, because in a few days from now, it will be the first anniversary to mark ever since this conflict began in the Middle East on the 7th of October 2023, and calling that what happened in Israel by Hamas was a terror attack, also condemning when it comes to war, but saying that a country has a right to respond.
Well, definitely, External Affairs Minister, while responding to the questions on the escalations in West Asia, very categorically said that everything begins with October 7th. October 7th was definitely a terror attack, and the thing that followed was right to defense for Israel. But India is worried about the escalations that are taking place in West Asia, escalations between Israel and Lebanon, Israel and Gaza, Israel and Iran. Is worrisome, but having said that, terrorism cannot be condoned, and every country has right to defend, is what India believes. Remember, historically, India's position has been very clear that to solve the Israel-Palestine issue, two-state solution is the only viable option.
Absolutely, and we have seen with the recent conversation that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had with the Israeli Prime Minister just before the escalation and the wider conflict by Iran, saying that war is never the answer and at all costs peace should be the one that should be attempted to be reached when it comes to the countries which are facing this conflict. Right after Iran launched missiles at Israel, India